You begin with a breath, a slow one, a soft one, a breath that feels like a hand resting lightly on your chest, reminding you that you're safe, that you're here, that you can simply drift. As you breathe, you feel a gentle warmth settling along your ribs, like a small sunrise slowly opening its eyes. You notice how your shoulders ease just a little, as if they've been waiting for permission. And with that quiet shift, you feel the world inside you begin to glow, dim at first, then blooming into a soft amber light. You step into it, or perhaps it rises up to meet you. Either way, you find yourself at the edge of a forest. Not an ordinary forest. This one is entirely yours. A living landscape woven into your biology, breathing with you, thinking with you in its own quiet way. It's the inner forest you carry everywhere. Your microbiome. An ancient, bustling world that has been here since your very first moments, tending to you in ways you rarely notice. The dawn in this forest is gentle. The light falls in slow ribbons, like sighs unfurling through branches. Every leaf seems to shimmer with a faint glow, touched by the warmth spreading from within you. The air has that cool, dewy stillness that forests hold before anyone else is awake. Except, of course, someone is awake. Many, many someones. Tiny caretakers move beneath the moss and soil, weaving pathways, tending roots, maintaining a harmony so intricate you could almost mistake it for magic. They shift, rustle, and reorganize themselves with a soft diligence, like librarians shelving books before the doors open. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the hum of their work. Quiet, communal, unhurried. You take another slow breath, and the mist of curiosity rises around you. You didn't know this forest was so vast, so alive, so gently woven into everything you feel. Your feet sink into the forest floor, warm and forgiving, like earth that has been waiting specifically for you. There's no rush here. Even the air feels patient. You move at the pace of dawn, which is to say, slow enough that nothing inside you feels pushed or pulled. A soft breeze drifts across your skin, cool, refreshing, almost playful. You smile a little, surprised that your own inner forest has a sense of humor. A small one, a subtle one, the kind of humor that feels like a leaf tapping your shoulder as if to say, hey, you dropped something. It's okay. I'll hold it for you. You walk deeper. The trees around you are impossibly tall, their branches stretching upward in arcs that remind you of neural pathways, each one carrying the memories of meals, moments, moods. The leaves whisper in patterns, not random at all communication, though not in words. Something older, something foundational. You pause. You listen. Sounds like the forest is breathing with you. In and out, in and out. The rhythm is steady, comforting. A reminder that this entire ecosystem responds to the gentle rise and fall of your breath. As dawn brightens, the undergrowth glows. The caretakers, your unseen microbial companions, move like dancers shifting positions between scenes. Some drift toward roots, some toward bark, some toward the streams that run through this place like soft, shimmering threads. You can't see their forms clearly. They are too small for that. But you feel them. A sense of movement, a sense of quiet purpose. You walk along a narrow trail, one that seems to form just as your foot approaches it, as though the forest is paving a way for you, eager to show you more. And there's something deeply reassuring in that. You don't have to know the destination. You just have to take the next breath, the next step, the next moment of soft curiosity. This forest has been shaping you your entire life, influencing your digestion, guiding your immunity, tuning your emotional landscape with almost comical dedication. You think you work hard? These tiny beings don't even take weekends. They're always here, whispering signals, responding to your choices, adapting, adjusting, collaborating with the deeper rhythms of your body. And yet, they never ask for credit. Never wave a tiny world's best microbe mug at you. Never demand applause. They just care for you. Quietly, consistently, the dawn continues to unfold. The forest brightens, but never harshly. The light is warm, a golden haze filtering through the canopy, touching your skin like a memory of sunlight rather than sunlight itself. You inhale and it trails softly down your spine. As you wander, you notice small clusters of glowing spores lifting from the forest floor. They rise in slow, spiraling patterns, drifting toward the canopy like floating lanterns. Their movements are unhurried, like everything else here. They represent growth, renewal, the constant transformation your inner world undergoes. They rise not because of urgency, but because that's simply the direction they're meant to go. You feel something soften in you, something that had been clenched without your awareness. Here, in this forest, you're allowed to let go a little, to settle, to imagine that not every part of you has to be controlled consciously. There are caretakers for that, helpers, collaborators, an entire living symphony whose only job is to keep you well. You pass a fallen log covered in velvety moss. The moss hums faintly when you lean close, as though acknowledging your presence. You run your fingers across it, warm, soft, grounding. The texture feels like the sensation of being told, you're doing fine, but by someone who really means it. You continue walking, and the dawn shifts again. Light deepens. Shadows stretch gently across the path, not ominous, just part of the forest's slow awakening. More caretakers emerge, some clustering around roots, others drifting in the air like specks of dust illuminated by sunlight. You realize, with a slow blooming sense of wonder, that this forest is not a detached metaphor. It is you, or at least, it is a part of you so interwoven that your boundaries blur. Your mood, your thoughts, your sense of calm, they are influenced by these microscopic caretakers tending this quiet land. They shape you, and you shape them. Partnership older than memory. The breeze shifts. The mist thins. You feel an invitation unfolding in front of you. The forest wants to show you something more, something deeper, older, rooted in your beginnings. You feel it like a soft hand taking yours, leading you toward the next story this forest holds. You take another slow breath. The mist parts. A winding path stretches forward, glowing faintly at the edges like morning light touching the edge of a dream. You step forward into the pale morning light, still carrying the softness of the forest's dawn behind you. The path you follow feels warm underfoot, as if held by memories. The air shifts gently, like a page turning, guiding you deeper into the story of this quiet inner world. You breathe in, slow and steady, letting the forest meet your breath with its own long exhale. There's something tender in the air now, a kind of hush that feels like the pause before a story begins. The mist around you thins, and the path opens into a small clearing washed in a soft, glowing light. This place feels older. Not ancient, but original, foundational. The forest seems to lean close, showing you something essential, something from the very beginning of your life, the very first footprints in this inner landscape. You walk carefully, not because the ground is fragile, but because the moment is. There's a sense of witnessing something intimate, something private yet deeply connected to you. The air is warm, like breath against skin, and the light has a rosy glow that feels both inside and outside at once. You hear a faint rustling beneath the soil, like tiny travelers arriving with tiny luggage, settling into a world newly formed. They move in small clusters, familiar in their strangeness. Early settlers in a land that has only just begun to exist. You are watching the beginning of your microbiome. It starts quietly, almost shyly. There are no fireworks, no dramatic music, no grand announcements, just gentle arrivals. Tiny footprints pressed into soft earth. Microscopic hands tending the first roots of the forest that will someday help shape your moods, your immunity, your digestion, your emotional rhythms. It's almost funny how small the beginnings are. You smile a little at the thought. You, a whole complex human, began your lifelong partnership with these tiny companions in ways so simple they would be easy to overlook. The forest shifts, and you see the earliest moments of this relationship unfolding like scenes in a dream. A passage from birth, where the first seeds are carried into this inner world. The forest floor warms, showing how those microbes move quickly, establishing the earliest patches of green. You watch them settle into the soil like new villagers staking out a town square. Some cluster along roots. Some gather near streams. Some form tiny glowing constellations around branches that look suspiciously like nerves. You breathe softly, feeling the warmth of that early establishment echo across time. The forest shows you how your first touch, your first breaths, the early nourishment you received all played their roles. Each moment added new life, new seeds, new caretakers to this growing ecosystem. It's grounding to witness it now. Grounding in the way a warm blanket is grounding. In the way a soft voice in the dark is grounding. You watch as the early settlers organize themselves, creating structures, forming communities, gently cooperating in ways that make you wonder if microbes are secretly better at teamwork than most humans. They definitely schedule fewer meetings, which helps. The clearing brightens, revealing different patches of earth, some dark and rich, others pale and sandy. The first microbes choose their homes carefully, settling into the environments that suit them. They don't rush. They don't compete. They find their place in the ecosystem with quiet intelligence, as if each one instinctively knows where it belongs. You kneel beside a patch where tiny glowing spores drift upward like little lanterns. These represent the early microbial exchanges during feeding, during touch, during moments of warmth and closeness. Moments that shape the earliest chapters of your inner world without you ever having to think about it. You feel an unexpected tenderness, a kind of gratitude. This inner forest has roots that run back to your earliest days. Days when you had no words, no plans, no responsibilities. And yet, even then, the foundations were forming. Quietly, reliably, with an elegance that feels almost poetic. You rise and walk deeper into the clearing, where the forest begins to shift again. Scenes unfold like soft watercolor illustrations. You watch how different caretakers arrive to perform different roles. Some devoted to helping your body digest, others committed to protecting you, others quietly influencing the emotional climate that would someday help shape your ability to calm yourself. Each group settles into a different grove. Each grove develops its own rhythm. Each rhythm contributes to the harmony of the whole. It's like watching the rehearsal of an orchestra. Every instrument tuning gently, no one judging the tuba for coming in a little early. Everything is soft, patient, unfolding in its own time. You continue along the path, and the forest dimly echoes your footsteps. Not as a warning, but as a welcome. You're meant to see this. You're meant to be here. This is part of your story. You feel another wave of warmth, almost like hands gently cupping your ribcage, reminding you to breathe again. So you do, slowly in, slowly out. With each breath, the forest becomes clearer, the early foundations more vivid, the connection more intimate. You see the first footprints of your microbiome not as scientific diagrams but as tiny glowing impressions along the trail, impressions left by beings who would spend a lifetime traveling with you. Caretakers, allies, quiet co-authors of your emotional landscape. The forest feels ancestral now, like an old home being shown to you for the first time even though you've lived in it since the beginning. Some of the caretakers feel familiar, as if recognizing you after a long time apart. They glow faintly in your presence, warming the air around them. You feel the closeness, the partnership, the quiet interdependence. It's a gentle reminder that you've never been alone, not even in your earliest days. Your inner forest has always been there, always growing with you, always shaping the foundation beneath your feelings. You pause at the edge of a small hill overlooking the first groves that formed in your earliest hours. The landscape is still young, still fragile, still establishing its patterns. But there's strength in it, a kind of determination. The forest wants to thrive, and you sense how much of your later emotional resilience begins right here. You take a slow, grounding breath. The clearing feels warmer now, touched by understanding. You feel the timelines layering, the present blending into the earliest echoes of your past. A thought rises gently. How does this forest learn to communicate with you? You feel the question drift into the canopy, unanswered but not ignored. The forest wants to show you, wants to guide you to the next path, the next truth. You step forward. The hill slopes gently downward, and the ground beneath your feet becomes smoother, as though guiding you toward a shimmering stream that glints between the trees. The forest exhales. You exhale with it, and you move slowly toward the sound of flowing water, toward the first whispers of communication in Chapter 3. The path settles beneath your feet as you move forward, guided by the faint, welcoming shimmer of water ahead. The air cools slightly, brushing your skin like the touch of a leaf drifting down in slow motion. You breathe in, feeling the forest respond with its own long inhalation, as if it's preparing to share something sacred with you. The trees thin gradually, their trunks curving outward, bowing toward the sound of flowing water. At first, you hear only a hush, a suggestion of movement. Then, as you step closer, the sound becomes clearer. A steady, calming stream, neither fast nor loud, but deliberate and peaceful. The kind of water that seems to think before it speaks. You reach its edge, and there it is, the inner stream, the vaguest pathway of your forest. It glows softly, like moonlight poured into motion. The surface ripples gently, each movement carrying messages, signals, whispers. As you kneel beside it, the ground warms under your knees, supporting you like an old friend settling beside you. You watch the water glide past, and something inside you mirrors the movement. Your breath lengthens, your shoulders soften. There's a sense of being understood, without any words exchanged. The stream seems to say it's okay. You can rest into this moment. You lean closer, and the surface of the water becomes clearer. Beneath the gentle current, tiny sparks light up, each one a message traveling between the forest and the mind beyond the trees. These sparks drift like fireflies carried along by the flow. Some drift upward, some downward, some hover in place as if considering which way to travel. The forest grows quiet behind you. It's not empty, just listening, waiting. Microbes gather near the banks, tiny caretakers clustering like soft moss around the edges. They hum faintly, releasing subtle signals into the water. These signals shimmer as they drift downstream, merging with the brighter currents of the vaguest pathway. You watch mesmerized. It's delicate, it's complex, it's strangely beautiful. Each whisper from these caretakers influences the current, maybe softening the pace of your breath, maybe loosening tension in your chest, maybe brightening your emotional weather by just a half shade. Their work is small but constant, like tiny hands adjusting the forest's atmosphere grain by grain. The idea makes you smile softly. Tiny, emotional mail carriers. It's almost adorable. If they had hats, you think they'd probably be very committed to wearing them at the perfect angle. A gentle wave laps against the bank, as if amused by your thought. You dip a finger into the stream. The water is warm, warmer than you expected, like it remembers every comforting moment you've ever had. The warmth travels up your arm, slowly, like the forest is telling you a story through temperature rather than sound. You sense the purpose in the water's movement, carrying signals upward, toward your brain, toward your emotional centers, toward the deeper parts of your inner weather system. This pathway is not a simple channel. It's a messenger route, a communication highway, a living thread woven between forest and mind. You sit back slightly, breathing in the soft scent of damp earth and drifting light. The microbes near you continue their quiet work, releasing gentle molecules that glide into the stream with the ease of falling petals. Some signals urge calm, some soothe inflammation, some encourage rest. Some simply say, all is well, and the stream receives each message with grace, carrying it forward. The forest around you hums in agreement, its branches swaying with the rhythm of the water. You notice how interconnected everything feels. Not separate systems, but one ecosystem, a single breathing tapestry woven through your entire being. You lean down once more, watching the sparks beneath the surface. Some glimmer brightly, others pulse faintly, like tiny hearts beating in unison with your own. Each one represents a piece of communication between gut and brain, between forest and mind, between caretakers and consciousness. You realize something gently astonishing. The forest is always speaking. Always. You just haven't always known how to listen. A breeze moves through the clearing. Leaves rustle overhead, their soft voices blending into the sound of the water. The forest's breath brushes against your cheek, encouraging you to pay attention to the harmony unfolding within you. You close your eyes for a moment. You breathe in, deep and slow. The stream responds. Your breath and the vagus pathway fall into rhythm, like two musicians finding the same melody. Your exhale flows out like a soft ripple across the water. When you open your eyes again, the view has changed slightly. The water glows brighter. The sparks beneath the surface swirl in gentle spirals, forming patterns that almost resemble constellations. It feels like the forest is showing you a deeper layer, the emotional vocabulary of the microbes themselves. You watch as signals swirl into shapes, a calming spiral, a reassuring wave, a tiny pulse of encouragement. Each shape drifts onward, carried by the stream toward the mind's horizon. The connection is quiet but profound. You sit with it for a long moment, letting the rhythm of the water sink into you. You feel how this pathway influences your calmness, how it helps regulate the slow settling of your body when you need rest. You feel how it softens the tension in your stomach, how it steadies your heartbeat when life becomes too loud, too bright, too much. The forest has always been communicating with you, not with words or commands, but with sensations, moods, breaths. And you, in turn, communicate back, through choices, through stillness, through nourishment, through the simple act of breathing slowly while listening. You trail your fingers across the water one last time, watching the ripples dance outward, each wave merging with the stream's slow pulse. The forest shifts slightly. The air grows warmer. A soft glow rises from the trees beyond the stream, a clearing bathed in golden light. The water nudges you gently, as if saying, "There's more to understand, more to see." Follow the glow. You rise slowly. Your hands, when they fall to your sides, feel warmer, as though carrying a piece of the stream's light with them. You take a final breath beside the water, in and out, steady and slow, letting the rhythm settle into your chest. The forest whispers around you, microbe and tree and stream sharing a single quiet voice. This is how we speak. You turn toward the glowing clearing ahead, where light gathers like soft pollen rising in the air. You step toward it, following the warm shimmer, into the alchemy of chemicals and emotion waiting in Chapter 4. In this chapter, you drift into the soft inner workshop where your gut microbes tend to your mood with slow, deliberate care. You sense the recurring metaphor of a tuning fork again, humming gently through the body, reminding you that every signal is a vibration seeking harmony. You breathe in, feeling the warm rise of your abdomen, and breathe out, imagining the fork settling into perfect resonance. Here, calmness is chemistry, and chemistry is simply the body's way of singing. You move deeper into this inner landscape, noticing how certain microbes release molecules that act like gentle messengers. They do not rush or shout. Instead, they whisper through pathways that link your gut to your brain, carrying news of nourishment, stability, and safety. These chemical whispers help shape how you feel, smoothing jagged thoughts into softer waves. As you listen, you sense how this chemistry is not separate from you. It is you unfolding. You feel the warmth of your breath again, a reminder that you are present with this delicate inner orchestra. You imagine the tuning fork shimmering softly, its tones spreading across tissues and cells. Some microbes help produce neurotransmitter precursors, sending ripples of balance upward. Others help calm inflammation, cooling any internal heat that might disturb your emotional shoreline. Together, they behave like musicians adjusting their instruments before a performance, tuning gently until everything settles into coherence. As you follow these sensations, you begin to see how balance is not a single point but a shifting, breathing process. Your microbes respond to food, to stress, to rest, to movement, always recalibrating. When you eat something nourishing, you can imagine offering them fresh strings for their instruments. When you rest, you give them time and quiet. When you breathe slowly, as you are doing now, you send them a signal that the environment is safe, and their chemistry softens to match. The tuning fork metaphor appears again as you picture certain molecules, short-chain fatty acids, calming metabolites, vibrating outward. They drift through the gut lining, enter the bloodstream, and gently reach the brain. They help shape mood through subtle modulation rather than force. You do not need to know numbers or equations to sense this. You only need to imagine the body humming in warm tones, each vibration soothing the next. You breathe in, breathe out, and feel the growing steadiness inside. You begin to sense that your microbes are not passengers. They are collaborators. Their chemistry is part of your emotional vocabulary. When they flourish, calmness becomes easier to reach. When they struggle, the tuning fork wavers. But the beauty of the system is that it always seeks harmony. Even small changes, an extra moment of rest, a caring choice of food, a slow breath, can help restore the melody. You wander through this inner workshop, feeling its atmosphere grow softer, more luminous. You picture tiny molecules drifting like gentle fireflies, carrying signals that say, balance is possible. You notice how this brings a sense of reassurance, the way a familiar lullaby steadies the mind. These fireflies illuminate pathways that run between your gut and your brain, showing that emotional states are not fixed. They shift with the chemistry that surrounds them. You follow the wandering lights and see how your gut lining acts like a peaceful shoreline, absorbing, filtering, and communicating. Microbes near the shore respond to subtle changes: what you eat, how you sleep, how you move, how you breathe. They interpret these signals and create new ones. Their chemistry mirrors your habits, your rhythms, your quiet moments. You exhale softly, letting your breath become another gentle cue for harmony. You linger on the idea that balance is never about perfection. It is about resonance. The tuning fork metaphor echoes again. Steady, patient, understanding. Your microbes listen constantly, adjusting their chemistry to match the tone of your life. This gentle feedback loop helps shape your emotional landscape, smoothing edges and easing tension. You feel this in your body now, like a subtle softening beneath your ribs. You breathe deeper, and the chapter begins to settle, like warm sand shifting into place. You sense the chemistry of balance working quietly within you, not demanding attention but offering steadiness. Your microbes continue their gentle work, releasing molecules that guide your mood toward calm shores. You imagine them as caretakers tending a lantern, keeping its glow steady through the night. You remain in this calm inner space a little longer, noticing new layers of quiet chemistry unfolding. You picture certain microbes shaping the mucosal barrier, tending it like gardeners smoothing soft earth. Their work creates a stable boundary, neither rigid nor fragile, but flexible and responsive. This boundary helps determine what enters your inner world and what stays outside. And in this gentle act of selection, your microbes influence your overall sense of safety. You take another slow breath and imagine subtle signals traveling through the vagus nerve, like threads connecting two distant rooms that share the same tone. These threads carry impressions of calm upward, reinforcing the brain's sense that the body is settled. When the brain receives this impression, it responds by relaxing tension in the shoulders, softening the jaw, and easing thoughts that might otherwise swirl restlessly. You feel this easing now, like a low tide drawing back from the shore. The recurring tuning fork appears once more as you picture how your inner signals synchronize. The body's systems, nervous, immune, digestive, are not isolated. They resonate with one another. When your microbes produce certain molecules, those molecules nudge the nervous system toward steadiness. When the nervous system settles, the immune system becomes less reactive. When the immune system calms, the gut environment becomes more hospitable. You sense how each layer of balance supports the next, the whole body responding like an ensemble guided toward harmony. In this quiet glow, you also recognize how easily the system can drift out of tune. Not through failure, but through simple shifts in life. A poor night of sleep, a stressful day, an unsettled meal. Yet even then, your microbes respond. They send signals asking for rest, nourishment, or slower breathing. These signals may feel like mood shifts or cravings or tiredness, but beneath them lies a biological request for harmony. You let yourself appreciate this gentle, lifelong dialogue. You continue walking through this imagined landscape, sensing how each breath becomes part of the story. Your inhale brings warmth and space. Your exhale brings release and softening. Your microbes respond to both, adjusting their chemistry to match your pace. The body becomes a living instrument, always tuning, never judging, never rushing the process. As you near the transition to the next chapter, you feel a deeper understanding settling in your mind. Balance is not something you chase. It is something you allow. Your microbes already know the melody. All you need to do is listen, breathe, and offer the quiet conditions in which their chemistry can guide you gently toward well-being. And so you breathe once more, slow and warm, letting the tuning fork's soft resonance carry you toward the next chapter, where your inner ecosystem begins to meet the world beyond you with the same calm harmony. You arrive at the doorway of the next chapter as if stepping into a quiet room where two old friends are speaking. The space is dim, warm, softly resonant. Your breath settles easily here. Inhale, feeling the ribs float open. Exhale, letting the weight of the day slide downward and away. Inside this room, you discover a gentle dialogue unfolding between your gut and your brain. An ongoing, patient conversation that never stops, even when you sleep. It is not spoken in words but in signals. Tiny pulses, molecules, electrical currents, microbial whispers. You realize you have been listening to fragments of this conversation your whole life, without knowing. A shift in appetite after stress. A calm wave after a nourishing meal. A flutter in the belly before important moments. All of these are messages, exchanged through the vast conversation channel known as the gut-brain axis. As you settle in, the tuning fork metaphor hums softly again, reminding you that every message carries a tone. Your gut produces signals with a certain vibration, and your brain responds by adjusting mood, attention, even perception. In return, your brain sends signals downward, guiding motility, digestion, and the behavior of your microbes. Two instruments tuning to one another, never perfectly still, always seeking resonance. You take a slow breath, as if participating in the dialogue yourself. In this chapter, you begin to sense the vagus nerve, the quiet messenger that acts like a silk ribbon between your gut and your brain. It carries most of the communication upward, offering the brain a gentle summary of your internal world. You imagine the ribbon glowing softly with each breath you take, its fibers pulsing with calm, steady waves. These waves are shaped by your microbes as they create chemical cues, metabolites, and patterns of activity that ripple upward. You picture signals drifting like tiny lanterns across the ribbon. Some soothing, some alerting, all meaningful. The brain listens closely, adjusting its own rhythms in response. You realize that mood itself is not just a product of thoughts but a blending of signals from both worlds. You pause, inhaling deeply, letting your awareness settle into the lower belly. In this stillness, you sense how certain microbial species help create the raw materials for neurotransmitters. They don't produce emotion directly but contribute to the chemistry from which emotions arise. It's like they carve the wooden frame of the tuning fork. The brain then strikes it gently and listens for the tone. You picture this process happening right now, without any effort from you. Just an ongoing conversation supporting your emotional balance. As you drift further into this inner room, you notice how your gut environment responds to stress. When stress rises, the brain sends its own tone downward, a slightly sharper vibration, a tightening of internal strings. Your microbes feel this change. Some quiet their activity, others shift their behavior. The gut wall may tense. Digestion slows. The lanterns dim their glow. But with a slow breath, the tone changes again. The ribbon softens. The lanterns brighten. You can feel this in your own body as you breathe now. Your belly loosening, your shoulders melting downward, your chest becoming spacious. You sense how breathing becomes part of the conversation too. Each slow exhale is like sending a reassuring note down the ribbon. We are safe. Your microbes respond with signals that support calmness. Your brain receives the echo of that calm and relaxes further. A loop of soothing resonance. This is the quiet genius of your physiology. You move deeper in the room, noticing how your microbes participate not only through chemicals but also through patterns of activity. Their collective motion, their fermentation rhythms, their nutrient processing, all create subtle signatures that the brain can interpret. These signatures influence the tone of the tuning fork metaphor that runs throughout your inner world. Sometimes, when your microbial balance shifts, the tone shifts with it. This may feel like fogginess, irritability, or emotional heaviness. But you realize with relief that imbalance is not a flaw. It is simply a variation in tone, one that can be gently guided back to resonance through care, rest, nourishment, and gentleness toward yourself. You exhale slowly, letting the body ease even further. You imagine your brain sitting just above this inner room, listening through the ribbon, interpreting the gut signals. It uses these messages to shape your stress response, your sense of calm, and even how vividly you experience the world around you. When the gut sends a warm, steady signal, the brain becomes more receptive, more open, more able to let go. Your microbes help create these warm signals, not as servants but as partners. They thrive when you thrive. They soften when you soften. Their signals mirror your lifestyle in delicate ways. Rest becomes nourishment. Gentle movement becomes an invitation to harmony. Even a peaceful moment like this one ripples through them. You breathe again, aware of this ripple. The conversation extends into your immune system as well. Certain microbes help keep inflammation in check, preventing the signals from becoming too sharp or too bright. When inflammation rises, it can send messages upward that feel like emotional heaviness. But when microbes calm that inflammation, the brain receives a softer tone, like a tuning fork resonating through warm wood rather than cold metal. You sense how your whole body participates in this gentle communication, each system listening to the vibration of the others. In this grounded awareness, you begin to understand why some experiences feel like they start in the mind and others begin in the body. Often, they start in both at the same time. The gut-brain axis is not a straight line but a looping, spiraling flow of information. Your microbes are woven into that flow, helping to shape the quality of each signal. A sudden thought feels emotional because your body echoes it. A change in your gut environment feels emotional because your brain echoes it. Everything resonates. You pause for another breath, letting this understanding settle. You imagine the ribbon of the vagus nerve expanding slightly, becoming even more luminous. The lanterns of microbial messages drift upward, casting soft light into the space around you. Your brain, in this imagining, bathes in that warm light, interpreting it as calm, connection, and safety. You sense how profoundly simple this is. A gut feeling is not a metaphor. It is a message, a tone, a vibration seeking resonance. You let your exhale grow longer. With this sense of connection, you begin to notice how the conversation continues during nourishing meals. As you eat, your microbes respond immediately. They create signals that tell the brain you are receiving sustenance. The brain, comforted, relaxes its vigilance. You feel more grounded, more present, more at ease. Even the act of chewing becomes a cue that everything is okay. This is why warm, slow meals feel emotionally gentle. They are moments when your inner tuning fork aligns with the outer world. As you stay in this warm room of communication, you start to feel its edges soften. The chapter begins to dissolve into a gentle mist, as if preparing to drift you into the next space. Before it fades fully, you feel one more breath move through you. Deep, warm, grounding. Inhale, hold, exhale. You sense that the next chapter will guide you outward into the environment your microbes depend on, the foods you choose, the rhythms you keep, the patterns that shape their diversity and strength. The conversation between gut and brain will continue, but now it will expand into the world beyond your body. And with one last warm vibration of the tuning fork, you step softly toward Chapter 6, letting its gentle promise meet you on the next page. You enter the next stretch of your inner forest with a slow inhale, as if preparing yourself for terrain that feels familiar yet slightly uneven. The air grows still here, not hostile, just different. As you walk, you notice how the soft, mossy ground beneath your feet becomes more compact, less springy. Even the canopy seems to lean inward, its branches drawing closer, filtering the light into quieter, dimmer patches. You pause, letting your breath settle into a gentle rhythm. In and out. The forest hears this. It always hears you. This is the region shaped by stress. Those moments when life presses inward, leaving both body and microbes searching for harmony. It's not broken land, not damaged land, simply a part of the forest that has fallen a little out of rhythm, like a tuning fork struck at an awkward angle. The note still plays, but it wavers. You feel that wavering now. Soft, subtle, honest. As you continue walking, you sense how the tuning fork metaphor vibrates through the soil. Stress enters your body as a shift in tone. A tightening of the gut, a quickening of thoughts, a subtle narrowing of inner space. Your microbes experience this shift too. They feel the hormonal breeze that sweeps through when your brain perceives pressure. They feel the temporary dryness in the soil, the way nutrients move differently, the way motility quickens or slows. Stress is not just a thought. It's an environmental ripple. You exhale softly, imagining that ripple smoothing out. In this part of the forest, you see small patches where the undergrowth looks tangled, as if hurried hands try to reorganize everything at once. This is how your gut behaves under strain. Working harder, trying to maintain balance, even when the surrounding signals are uneven. Some microbes retreat temporarily, waiting for calmer weather. Others step forward, adapting to the new conditions. None of this means the forest is failing. It simply means the forest is responding. You take a deeper breath, letting your shoulders drop. Even here, there is beauty. The light that filters through has a muted glow, like morning after gentle rain. The air carries a warm, earthy scent. You feel the presence of the microbial caretakers, not as a harmonious choir, but as individuals working diligently, doing the best they can with the signals they receive. You realize that stress does not silence the conversation between gut and brain. It just changes the tone. When thoughts become tight, the brain sends a sharper vibration down the vagus ribbon. Your gut receives it as a shift in rhythm. Microbes begin adjusting their activity. They ferment differently. They signal differently. They send their own messages back up, letting the brain know that the terrain has shifted. The brain listens and may respond with uneasiness, irritability, or fatigue. Not to alarm you, not to punish you, simply to communicate. You pause in the dim forest patch and rest one hand against a warm, bark-covered trunk. The tree feels steady beneath your palm. You take another breath and feel its grounded stillness travel up your arm. Even in imbalance, there is something enduring here, something that doesn't vanish just because the rhythm falters. Your microbes notice this too. They respond not only to stress, but to relief. Even a single slow exhale can change their activity. With each breath, the vagus ribbon softens, and the forest begins to loosen its grip. You can feel it now. Your belly easing, your chest opening, your jaw releasing its hold on the moment. The forest mirrors you. As you walk further in, you start recognizing how tension shapes digestion. Stress may slow the gentle waves that move food along, or sometimes hasten them. It may change how your body absorbs nourishment. You notice plants here whose leaves are slightly curled, whose roots reach deeper for moisture. They are still alive, still vibrant, just working harder than usual. You realize that you have had days like that too. And just as these plants adapt, your microbes do the same. Some species flourish under calm, steady breath. Others spike briefly under stress, trying to help manage the sudden change. The forest doesn't judge these shifts. It simply responds with gentle persistence. Your feet carry you over uneven ground, and you sense how stress can make the microbiome less diverse for a time. Fewer voices adding harmony to the inner choir. But you also see, in the distance, small sprouts pushing through the soil, preparing to return when conditions feel safer. Diversity doesn't disappear. Pauses. It waits for an exhale. You offer one now, a long one. The tuning fork inside you vibrates softly, as if grateful for the breath. And with that vibration comes a realization. Imbalance is not failure. It is part of a natural cycle, like seasons or tides, or the way light shifts across a room throughout the day. The forest you carry has weathered stress before and has always found its way back to resonance. You begin to trust that more deeply. As you move through the forest, you notice pockets where the air warms again. These are areas shaped by moments of rest. Nights when you slept deeply, meals eaten slowly, laughter shared with someone you trust, time spent outside under open sky. These experiences send gentle signals down the vagus ribbon. They soften the soil. They help your microbes reorganize themselves into calmer patterns. They are reminders of how resilient this forest truly is. You walk toward one of these warm pockets now. The ground becomes softer underfoot. The leaves overhead catch light more easily. The tangled undergrowth begins to loosen, revealing tiny paths winding between mossy stones. You breathe in the scent of something floral, something hopeful. This is what regaining rhythm feels like. You become aware of how your immune system joins this process. When stress lingers too long, inflammation may rise, like a low, smoky haze drifting through the trees. But as your breath deepens and your nervous system softens, the haze begins to thin. Microbes known for calming inflammation step forward again, weaving threads of balance through the soil. You feel the difference in your own body as you imagine it. The forest's resilience is not theoretical. It is embodied. You pause near a cluster of glowing fungi, an imagined reflection of microbial metabolites returning to their natural balance. These soft amber lights pulse gently, reminding you that your microbes never stop trying to restore harmony. Even in moments when you feel overwhelmed, they are working behind the scenes, adjusting, repairing, adapting. You place a hand on your belly, feeling gratitude rising like warmth from a hearth. The forest around you begins to open, its branches stretching outward as if exhaling with you. You sense how every calm moment in your life feeds straight into this landscape. Every slow breath, every night of rest, every nourishing meal, every act of kindness toward yourself. These actions do not eliminate stress but help your inner forest stay flexible, responsive, and ready to return to equilibrium. You continue to walk, noticing how the uneven ground becomes smoother. The dim light brightens. The sounds of the forest, soft rustling, distant birdsong, the gentle hum of microbial life, grow clearer. The tuning fork metaphor hums with steadier resonance now, as if the entire forest is retuning itself around you. You realize that imbalance is not a destination. It is a passing moment, a temporary variation, a shifting tone that always seeks its way back home. You take another slow breath. The air ahead glows with a faint, warm shimmer, inviting you forward into a region that feels gentler, softer, more forgiving. You sense that this next space will show you what healing looks like from the inside, how rest, sleep, and quiet moments nourish the entire system. You follow the shimmer, stepping lightly now, as if the forest floor has begun to cradle each footfall. And as the last echoes of this chapter fade, you feel the veil between imbalance and renewal thinning. The path ahead brightens. The air becomes still and cool. The forest prepares to guide you into the places where repair truly begins. You take one more calming breath, and with that exhale, you step into the next expanse of your inner forest as the light shifts toward evening, that gentle hour when everything softens. The trees lengthen their shadows. The air cools. A hush settles across the ground like a blanket being drawn over tired shoulders. Instinctively, your breath slows to match the change. In the soft and warm, out even softer. This is the meadow of rest, the place where your forest repairs itself when you sleep. You feel it even before you fully arrive. The moment your foot touches the moss here, the entire environment seems to relax with you. Leaves droop in a peaceful way, like eyelids in the moments before dreams. Tiny motes of light drift lazily through the air, glowing the way fireflies glow when they have nowhere urgent to be. You sense that the forest is entering its nightly rhythm, a rhythm that feels familiar in your own body. A long exhale flows out of you, unforced. The forest inhales with you, and the tuning fork metaphor hums, soft, ambient, unhurried. You look up. Through the branches overhead, stars appear one by one, scattered across a deepening twilight. In this place, nighttime doesn't arrive suddenly. It unfolds slowly, like a soft curtain descending. You feel your own thoughts follow that descent, becoming quieter, gentler, less sharp around the edges. This is what rest does. It diffuses the hard lines of the day. As twilight deepens, you begin to sense the activity beneath the surface. While the forest above you grows still, the soil below becomes busy in the calmest possible way. Your microbes, the millions of tiny caretakers, enter their nightly tasks. You imagine them moving through the earth like little lantern carriers, reorganizing pathways, repairing tissues, weaving chemical threads that steady your mood. During waking hours, they work to keep up with your movements, your meals, your stresses, your shifting inner weather. But at night, they restore. You walk slowly through the meadow, feeling the way your footsteps create tiny ripples of bioluminescent light. The soil glows faintly, as if exhaling the day's stories. You notice the tuning fork hum again, but this time the note is lower, smoother. It vibrates through your chest like a warm lullaby. Sleep, you realize, is not just unconsciousness. It is choreography. It is timing. It is the forest choosing to rebuild. Your microbes take cues from your sleep cycles. When you drift into deeper stages, they shift their activity, adjusting the balance of chemicals they produce. Some for calmness, some for clarity, some for resilience. They stabilize the gut wall. They reorganize the immune signals. They tidy the metabolic pathways. You picture them working like gentle gardeners, pruning and planting in slow motion, leaving the forest better prepared for tomorrow. You pause to breathe again, noticing the way your chest rises and falls with the same rhythm as the trees around you. Even the branches seem to sway with your inhalation, as though your breath casts a breeze across the canopy. The forest feels synchronized with you now, your body's tuning fork resonating with the environment's soft nocturnal hum. As you watch the night settle, you sense the intimate relationship between sleep and emotional steadiness. When you rest deeply, your microbes flourish. When they flourish, your mood feels more anchored, more resilient, more capable of meeting the world gently. It's a feedback loop of healing. You look around the meadow and see small clusters of fungi glowing with pale gold light. These represent microbial metabolites, tiny molecules that influence your brain's readiness for rest. Some help your vagus ribbon slow its tempo. Some help your immune cells shift into repair mode. Some whisper to your brain that it is safe to release, to soften, to dream. You kneel beside one of these glowing clusters, and the light warms your fingertips. As you place your hand on the earth, you feel a wave of ease move through you. Sleep does this too. It grounds you, turns the soil of your internal world, helps your emotional roots grow deeper. A soft sound catches your attention. You turn your head. Across the meadow, the trees sway gently, as though some breeze has passed through them, even though the air is still. Then you realize, it is not wind but the slow, deliberate rhythm of your parasympathetic system, the body's rest and digest response, flowing through the forest like a quiet tide. Your microbes respond to this tide. Under its influence, they enter a state of calm productivity. They repair the lining of the gut, reinforce the connections between cells, and create molecules that soothe inflammation. When inflammation drops, the brain receives softer signals. Your emotional landscape becomes clearer, lighter, easier to navigate. You walk toward a small pond at the center of the meadow. It reflects the star-filled sky with perfect stillness, like a mirror whose surface is never disturbed. This pond represents your sleep cycles. The deeper you walk into the night, the clearer the reflections become. When sleep is fragmented or restless, the surface ripples. But when you sink deeply into rest, the pond turns glass smooth, revealing the subtle patterns beneath. You sit beside the pond and let your breath match its stillness. In slow, out even slower, the tuning fork rings softly with each exhale, as though the note is smoothing itself out. As you sit, you begin to understand something. Your microbiome does not just benefit from sleep, it anticipates it. Certain microbial species increase in activity during the night, while others decrease, creating a rhythm that mirrors your circadian cycle. Their timing helps regulate the production of neurotransmitters and hormones that shape your mood the following day. When this rhythm is consistent, emotional repair becomes more seamless. When it's disrupted, the forest may feel slightly out of tune. Not broken, just tired. You lean back into the moss and let your body rest fully. The night sky remains open above you, but you feel no rush to gaze at all of it. It stretches endlessly, yet it asks nothing of you. The gentle humor of that realization makes you smile. Even your microbes seem to smile back, at least in the way they glow more warmly through the soil. Tiredness doesn't mean weakness, you think. It means the forest is ready to rebuild. You let your eyes drift closed, imagining you are actually sleeping here in this meadow. The moment you do, the forest becomes even more active. Microbes move with purpose. The soil reorganizes. The pond deepens. The tuning fork hums in a tone that feels close to forgiveness. You understand, in this moment, something deeply reassuring. Your emotional resilience is not built in daylight. It is built in rest. It is woven in darkness. It is cultivated when the forest feels safe enough to soften. You breathe again and feel your entire body responding. Eventually, your awareness returns to the meadow around you. Not fully awake, not fully dreaming, but floating between the two. You realize this place is a reminder that every night offers a quiet renewal. Even if the day felt heavy, your microbes never stop tending the landscape. They never stop caring for you. The night wind shifts, barely perceptible, but enough to signal the approach of dawn. A faint glow appears on the horizon, brushing the tops of the trees with gentle silver light. As you rise from the moss, the forest awakens with you. Not abruptly, tenderly. The tuning fork hum lifts a little, preparing itself for morning. You look toward the valley ahead, the place where emotions and microbes meet in an even more intimate dance. A place where your feelings shape the forest just as much as the forest shapes your feelings. You take one last, unhurried breath in the night meadow, and as you exhale, the light begins to grow. Softly, quietly, you step forward into Chapter 8. You step into the next valley of your inner forest with a slow breath, the kind that widens your chest just a little before gently releasing everything you no longer need. The path beneath your feet shifts from the night meadow's softness to a cool, dew-covered openness. Dawn light stretches across the ground in pale gold bands, and you feel its warmth settle onto your shoulders like a reassuring hand. Something shimmers here, subtle, delicate, reflective. As you walk deeper, you begin to understand why this valley feels different. It is the place where your emotions create echoes in the forest. A mood mirror. A space where your inner weather paints itself onto the landscape in colors you can finally see. The air brightens as if waiting for your next breath. You inhale, and the forest listens. Before you, thousands of thin leaves glisten as though coated with liquid silver. As you approach them, they begin to reflect faint images, not just your shape but your feelings. The gentleness you arrived with. The tiny tension still curled near your ribs. Even the quiet curiosity that has been guiding you since the first chapter. Nothing harsh. Nothing judgmental. Just honest reflections. The tuning fork inside you gives a soft hum, acknowledging the simple truth. Your emotions ripple through your microbiome. When you feel joy, your forest hears laughter. When worry rises, the soil tightens. When calm settles, pathways widen like streams after gentle rain. You take another slow breath, noticing how the reflective leaves glow faintly brighter. As you move further into the valley, the reflections shift. Joy appears as wide pathways lined with bright undergrowth. Stress tightens the trails, making them thinner. Calm settles the soil into velvety stillness. Grief dims the canopy, soft but heavy. Excitement sparkles across the leaves like tiny stars. The forest does not punish emotion. It responds to it quietly, honestly, biologically. You kneel near one of the reflective shrubs and watch how the leaves tremble with the rhythm of your breath. Each exhale sends tiny ripples across their mirror-like surfaces. You realize that your microbes respond in much the same way. They shift their behavior based on the hormonal signals your brain sends. They react to your internal narratives. They even adjust their activity based on how safe or supported you feel. You place a hand on the soil. Warm, alive, responsive. The science behind all this is gentle. When your mood shifts, your nervous system shifts. Hormones drift downward along the vagus ribbon. Immune messengers follow. Digestive rhythms change their tempo. Microbes feel these changes and adjust their chemical signaling in return. A loop of emotion and biology. A duet. You rise slowly, letting the valley settle around you. Ahead, sunlight pours through a cluster of tall trees whose bark glows like brushed copper. These are ancient trees, representing the evolutionary threads that link emotion to digestion, mind to gut. You walk toward them, step by soft step, listening to the familiar vibration of the tuning fork humming at the center of your chest. The copper trees hold pools of luminous dew in their cupped leaves. Each droplet reflects something different: your past reactions, your hidden strengths, your unspoken fears. When you lean closer, the reflections shift like fluid memories. You smile gently, sensing the humor of the moment. Even in an imagined inner valley, your emotions find creative ways to appear. The droplets remind you that feelings are transient. They form, reflect, then evaporate. Your microbes respond to the transient nature of emotion too. A moment of worry won't collapse the forest. A day of sadness won't undo years of growth. Your microbiome feels the overall climate, not every fleeting cloud. This realization softens something inside you. You breathe easier. As you continue walking, you notice small openings in the canopy where sunlight forms imperfect circles on the moss, mood footprints. These appear where strong emotions once left impressions in your gut. Times when your stomach tightened, times when you felt butterflies, times when grief sat like a stone. But now each footprint is being slowly filled with new growth. Moss creeps in, shoots emerge. The forest repairs emotional terrain just as easily as physical terrain. You are not stuck with the marks left by past feelings. Your microbes help reshape those pathways with every gentle moment you allow yourself. You step onto one of the mossy circles, feeling the softness give beneath your feet. A warm breeze moves through the valley, carrying a faint melody. You recognize it. It is the tuning fork again, releasing a low, peaceful note as your mood settles. The forest responds immediately. The reflective leaves shimmer more brightly. The pathways widen. The microbial caretakers you imagine beneath the soil become more active, weaving equilibrium through the terrain. Your emotions do not just influence your microbes. Your microbes help restore your emotions. You feel this with each slow breath. The valley mirrors your inner world, but it also helps shape it. You wander toward a clearing where the mood mirror trees form a circle around a still pool. The pool's surface is so flat it seems impossible. Not a ripple, not a single disturbance. You sit at its edge, letting the silence drape itself over your shoulders. The reflection in the pool is not your face, but the overall tone of your emotional self. It glows with a softness you didn't expect. Not perfect, not flawless, but honest, warm, alive. Your microbes respond to this steady emotional tone by flourishing. Their diversity increases in the wake of calm. Their signals to your brain become gentler, clearer. They help reshape your mood in real time, guiding you back toward emotional safety. You lean forward and touch the water with a fingertip. The reflection ripples, not breaking, just shifting. The forest accepts the movement easily, just as your inner systems accept emotional fluctuations. It is natural to change, natural to ripple, natural to feel. The clearing brightens as the sun lifts higher. The trees cast layered shadows across the pool, their reflections dancing. You rise and step into the sunlight, letting its warmth settle your chest. The air carries hints of distant pine, fresh earth, and something sweet. Maybe microbial metabolites drifting upward in imagined form, reminding you of the chemistry of calm. You continue along the path as the valley begins to slope upward. The mood mirrors slowly fade behind you, replaced by tall grasses that sway with your breath. For a moment, you pause and listen to the subtle sound of wind through the blades. It resembles whispers, soft, reassuring messages translated into the language of your inner world. Your microbes whisper too, in their own quiet way. They remind you that emotions are not separate from biology. They are woven into it. You start to climb gently toward a ridge. The climb is easy, more like floating upward than walking. The tuning fork hums in a brighter tone, one step closer to resonance. You feel the air change again, lighter, fresher, touched with a hint of something new. You look over your shoulder and take in the valley one last time. The reflective leaves catch the rising sun, scattering it in thousands of tiny glimmers. You feel the echoes of your mood shimmering with them. The valley does not disappear. It lives within you. It changes as you change. With a final, slow inhale, you turn toward the path ahead. The ridge opens into a glowing border where new shapes drift in: seeds, spores, breezes carrying unseen travelers. Microbial diversity. New voices for the forest. New resilience. You take a soft step forward, letting the breeze brush your skin like a gentle promise. And with a peaceful exhale, you cross into Chapter 9. You step into the next valley of your inner forest with a slow, deep breath, feeling the path beneath your feet shift from the softness of the night meadow to a dew-kissed openness bathed in pale gold dawn light that warms your shoulders like a gentle hand. And as you walk, you notice a quiet movement within yourself. A soft, internal breeze, barely perceptible, carrying the sense that your microbiome has its own rhythm, its own ebb and flow, just like the sky changes gradually through the day. Subtle, slow, and tender, not abrupt or dramatic, while your trillions of tiny microbial caretakers rise and fall in gentle patterns, responding to what you eat, when you sleep, how you move, how you breathe, and how relaxed or tense your body feels. Imagining them as colors in a sky, swirling softly, blending without borders, some hues brightening after a calm evening, others gathering after a nourishing meal, some fading when stress tightens your body, like watching dawn ease slowly into morning, one tone dissolving into the next, and as you drift further, the metaphor deepens. Your gut is no longer just soil, it is a climate, a mist-filled valley where warmth, moisture, and subtle breezes flow gently through, where microbes shift the balance of the landscape, releasing compounds that act like invisible signals in the air, soft chemical whispers that brighten your mood, soften tension, and bring quiet steadiness, and you realize you live inside this system, carried by it and shaped by it, noticing how every choice you make behaves like a change in weather. A leafy meal bringing sunlight, a walk sending warm air rolling through, restful sleep like long, cleansing rain, kind thoughts like soft morning light warming the valley floor. None of these changes rushing or demanding, simply moving through the system at their own pace, adjusting microbial balance in slow, rhythmic cycles, and when stress appears, it behaves like a passing cloud rather than a storm, dimming the light, prompting some microbes to retreat, others to activate protective signals, the inner weather shifting toward overcast. Yet with each slow exhale, the cloud drifts gently, your body and microbes collaborating to restore equilibrium, while the daily rhythm of your circadian microbiome continues. At night, some communities bloom while others rest, daylight stirring metabolic winds, digestive patterns warming and cooling like tides. And you feel comforted knowing this rhythm is ancient, shared across countless forms of life, your mood acting like the temperature of this inner climate, with calm bringing warmth and evenness, worry drawing cool contraction. Each sensation woven into the valley's atmosphere shaped by bacteria producing calming compounds or tuning inflammation, reminding you that you are not controlled, but accompanied by a living ecosystem co-creating the environment in which your emotions breathe. And here your slow breath becomes wind moving through the valley, signaling safety, encouraging microbes associated with calm to release their gentle messengers, as if morning mist clears under soft light. And you appreciate the beauty of slow change, how the microbiome prefers continuity over extremes, how small habits become tender nudges to the climate, each moment adding warmth or light, the inner world needing not perfection but steady care, like a garden responding to spring. And as the chapter closes, you visualize the valley at dusk, a warm glow, settling over the terrain, microbial weather softening into evening patterns, holding you within its quiet support. And as you breathe slowly once more, the metaphor lingers. Your inner weather is always changing, always cycling, always returning to balance, and a gentle invitation drifts forward toward the next chapter, promising exploration of how your daily rituals, the soft rhythms of your life, become the guiding hands shaping this internal climate, one tender, mindful moment at a time. You step into the final clearing of your inner forest with a slow, expansive breath, feeling the soft ground beneath your feet as if it has been waiting to cradle you. And as you walk, the canopy above opens just enough to let pale golden sunlight spill gently across the moss and leaves, casting warm patterns that shift like the rhythm of your own heartbeat. and you notice for the first time the full scope of this inner world, the forest, the streams, the glimmering dew, the reflective leaves, the hidden microbial caretakers moving silently in the soil, all alive, responsive, intimately connected to the way you feel, and you inhale slowly, sensing that every part of this ecosystem, your thoughts, your emotions, your breath, your microbes, is intertwined in a delicate, ongoing conversation, and as you exhale, a subtle vibration, like the soft hum of a tuning fork, resonates through your chest, a reminder that balance is not a static state but a living, breathing process, that the rhythms of your microbiome are a companion, a quiet, tireless gardener tending to the soil of your emotional life, responding to your moods, to your sleep, to your nourishment, to the slow patterns of kindness and curiosity that you weave through each day, and you realize that care here is gentle, ongoing, never urgent, expressed not in grand gestures but in small, consistent moments. A mindful bite, a long exhale, a pause to notice the light, the warmth on your skin, the subtle shifting of the trees around you, each microaction sending signals down the vagus ribbon, encouraging microbial communities to flourish, to release calming compounds, to orchestrate chemical symphonies that flow back to your brain, reminding you that you are never alone within yourself, that your inner forest has been with you since birth, shaped by generations of microbial life, and will continue to evolve, to respond, to adapt, carrying the echoes of your emotions while quietly supporting the resilience you already possess. And as you walk further into the clearing, you notice how each tree, each patch of moss, each reflective pool seems to lean toward you, acknowledging your presence, your participation, your willingness to engage in this ongoing dialogue, and you feel a gentle warmth radiating from the soil beneath your feet as if the microbes themselves are breathing in harmony with your own lungs. And you take another slow inhale, letting it fill your chest and belly, noticing how every breath creates ripples in this quiet, alive ecosystem. The air around you tinged with the subtle scent of earth and leaves, carrying faint notes of microbial activity, reminders that life is happening beneath the surface even when you are not aware, and you smile softly, sensing the humor in the fact that the tiniest organisms, invisible to the naked eye, hold such profound influence over the tone of your day, over the flow of your emotions, over the gentle weather patterns of your inner forest. And you realize that tending this landscape is not about control but about awareness, about noticing, about engaging with curiosity and patience, understanding that imbalance is temporary, that restoration is always possible, that every breath, every soft exhale, every act of nourishment is a signal to the microbial gardeners, a note in the symphony that vibrates through your gut, your brain, your heart, and your mind, and you see now that your emotions, your sleep, your nutrition, your kindness, your attention, your daily rhythms, all of these become subtle hands guiding the forest toward harmony, and this harmony does not happen instantly, does not require perfection, only gentle persistence, the same way rivers carve valleys over centuries, the same way wind shapes the canopy with imperceptible patience, the same way your microbiome responds to the soft cues of your life, building resilience, sculpting calm, fostering adaptability, and you take another step, noticing that the path ahead seems both infinite and intimate, stretching toward possibilities yet familiar, lit with a soft glow that feels like trust, like safety, like the knowledge that you are both student and caretaker, both observer and participant in this ongoing relationship, and you allow yourself to feel gratitude, letting it spread through your chest, down your spine, into your belly, radiating outward like sunlight, across the canopy, warming the undergrowth, encouraging new shoots to emerge, and the tuning fork vibration deepens, steadying, resonant. A reminder that this dialogue between you and your microbiome is not fragile but persistent, responsive, inherently alive. And as you pause in the center of the clearing, letting your senses absorb the gentle sounds of the forest, the rustle of leaves, the distant trickle of a stream, the soft hum of unseen life, you notice how all of it mirrors the rhythm of your inner state, how your calm breath shapes the landscape as much as the landscape shapes your mood, and you recognize the power and the gentleness in this mutual caretaking, this quiet stewardship, and you realize that your inner forest, nourished by your awareness and tended by your habits, is always ready to support you, to reflect back your emotions with subtle fidelity, to help you recover from stress, to help you cultivate calm. And as you exhale slowly, you feel the clearing expand. The trees stretch toward the light, the soil soften, the microbes hum in quiet gratitude. And you understand that every day offers opportunities to nurture this forest, to walk gently through it, to notice its rhythms, to breathe with it, and that the simplest acts, a meal, a pause, a deep inhale, a mindful thought, carry enormous weight, signaling care and curiosity, signaling connection, signaling a living partnership, and you notice that your awareness itself becomes part of the ecosystem. Your attention like sunlight or rainfall, your kindness like wind or warmth, your patience like soil, allowing the forest to breathe, adapt, and flourish. And you sense that this relationship has no end, only ongoing growth, subtle cycles, continuous tuning, and that with every mindful breath, with every soft acknowledgement, you contribute to harmony, resilience, and peace, and you feel the profound reassurance that you are never alone within yourself, that your microbiome is a constant companion, listening, responding, adjusting, always present, always caring in its quiet way. And as the sun lowers, casting elongated shadows across the moss, you take a final deep inhale, letting it fill every fiber of your being, and a slow exhale, letting the forest settle with you. A breath drifting gently into the knowledge that this inner world, this forest, this living garden, this tuning fork ecosystem, will walk with you into every tomorrow, that its hum and rhythm, its responsiveness and grace will continue to shape your moods and sustain your emotional life. And with that realization, you pause in the clearing, feeling complete yet ever curious, grounded yet expansive. And as you exhale for the last time in this chapter, the forest whispers softly back to you. You are never alone. You are always attended. You are always home.